For decades, the whole field of UFOs has been kind of like the Wild West, right? Just a messy collection of sightings, stories, and tons of speculation. Today, we're going to look at a really fascinating attempt to bring some order to all that chaos. We're talking about a modern system for classifying encounters with the unexplained, and it was developed by a researcher named Frandsen.
So let me just ask you this. You see something up there. Something weird, a strange light, maybe a craft that moves in a way that just doesn't make sense. How would you even start to describe that? Who would you even tell? You know, this really gets to the core problem in ufology. There's no shared, precise language. And without that, researchers can't really compare notes, and all that valuable data just gets lost in the noise.
But what if there was a better way? What if there was a system that could take any report? I mean, anything from a fleeting light in the sky to a totally life-altering event and put it into a clear, logical framework. Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
Okay, let's get into it. This is Frandsen's Encounter Rating System. You can think of it like a new map for this totally uncharted territory. The whole goal is to streamline things, to enhance how we analyze these phenomena by giving everyone a common set of coordinates to work from.
Now, what's really cool about this is that the Frandsen system doesn't just throw out all the old work. It actually stands on the shoulders of giants. It takes the foundational stuff from pioneers like J. Allen Hynek, you know, the guy who gave us the original close encounter scale, and it pulls in insights from more modern researchers like Dr. Stephen Greer and Jacques Vallée. It combines all of it to build something way more comprehensive for the 21st century.
So the system is built kind of like a ladder, and each rung escalates in intensity. We're going to start at the bottom, on the first few rungs, which cover the huge majority of sightings, the ones that happen from a safe distance.
All right, the first three stages are pretty straightforward. Stage 1 is lights. It's exactly what it sounds like. You see some weird lights you just can't explain. Then you've got stage 2, substance. That's when those lights resolve into an actual, distinct craft with a shape. But stage 3, track. Okay, this is where things get really interesting. This is when there's proof.
Yeah, a tracked event means you've got more than just an eyewitness story. You have radar data, a photograph, video footage. This is the kind of stuff that can be analyzed objectively, which is exactly why the system has to get even more granular and classify the quality of that evidence.
And this really shows you just how detailed this system gets. For example, a picture-perfect variant is a super clear photo or video, something that hardly needs to be touched. Then you've got hawk sight, which is when the evidence needs a lot of work, maybe heavy enhancement, just to be useful. And then there's cover, for those cases where, say, the original data was lost or confiscated, and all we have is a recreation. Each one of those tells a completely different story about the evidence itself.
Okay, let's keep going. We're climbing the ladder now, moving from just seeing something way off in the distance to encounters where the phenomenon is practically on your doorstep. This is where it starts to get personal.
Stage 4 is what's called a close encounter, and the system actually puts a number on it, 500 feet. When something is inside that range, a witness isn't just seeing a shape anymore. They're seeing details, panels, lights, textures. The whole experience becomes way more visceral, way more immediate.
Then we get to stage 5, interference, which takes it another step further. At this stage, the object doesn't just fly by, it leaves a mark. It actually interacts with our world in a measurable way. So it's not about what you saw, it's about what was left behind.
And these effects can be pretty dramatic. We're talking about cars stalling out on the highway, radios suddenly filling with static, even strange physical effects on the witnesses themselves. Or you might find physical traces left on the ground, like impressions, scorched earth, or even weird chemical residues. This is tangible physical evidence of a very, very strange event.
Okay, now this is a huge leap. At stage 6, it's not just about a craft anymore. For the very first time, we have company. This means the report includes the observation of an entity, a being, that's associated with the phenomenon. This is a total game changer.
And just look at how specific this gets. The system asks, okay, was the entity seen aboard the craft? Or was it just closer to it? Was it seen getting on or off, what the system calls boarding? Was it maybe a drop-off, where an entity is seen but the craft isn't? Or was there no craft at all, an exclusion? There's even a category called home phone for intelligent communication that happens without any visual. Every single one of these distinctions helps us build a much more precise picture of what happened.
All right, now we are entering the final, most profound, and, frankly, the most reality-bending stages of this entire system. We're moving way beyond simple observation and into direct interaction and even integration. Stage 7 is abduction. It's a term I think most of us have heard before. It describes those incidents where a witness reports being involuntarily taken. It's obviously a terrifying and transformative experience. But the system, again, adds this crucial layer of nuance to it. So here's the crucial point. The system distinguishes between a perceived physical event and its variant, called ailment hallucination. This describes an experience that feels just as vivid and just as real to the person, but it happens in more of a dreamlike state, without any external cause, like drugs or anything. The system doesn't try to judge which one is real, it just provides a way to classify these very different types of reported experiences.
Now, at stage 8, the whole dynamic shifts completely. This is willingful communication. This is not an abduction. This is a conscious, two-way dialogue. It's all about establishing a connection and actually exchanging information. The person goes from being a victim or an observer to being a participant.
And if stage 8 is like the first conversation, then stage 9, relations, is, well, it's the ongoing friendship. This isn't a one-time thing. It describes a sustained, long-term relationship with non-human intelligence, one that's built on repeated interactions over time.
And that brings us to the very, very top of the ladder, stage 10. The name is evolution. And the definition, well, it's startling. It's when a witness voluntarily contributes to human ET hybridization programs resulting in hybrid offspring. This is by far the most speculative and provocative stage in the entire system.
But even here, at this extreme end, the system forces us to think about nuance and ethics. Is the program for integration, meaning a consensual act for the sake of evolution, or is it invasion, a forced program for some kind of hostile takeover? Or maybe it's experimentation, a willing contribution for scientific reasons. The intent behind the act suddenly becomes the most important factor.
So after climbing this entire ladder, all the way from a simple light in the sky to these incredibly complex ethical scenarios, we've got to ask the big question. Why does a system like this even matter?
It matters because it gives us a whole new lens to look through. It offers clarity, which lets researchers finally speak the same language. It's comprehensive, creating categories for experiences that older systems just ignored. It integrates all kinds of data, physical, psychological, environmental. And crucially, it introduces a framework for actually discussing the ethics of contact. It gives us the tools to have a much more intelligent conversation.
And in the end, that might be the most important thing to take away from all this. The Frandsen system provides a detailed, structured vocabulary for the unexplained. It gives us the words. But it leaves us with one final big question. With this new language, what is the conversation we are truly preparing to have?